The Open Boat by Stephen Crane. Part 2. As the boat bounced from the top of each wave, the wind tore through the hair of the hatless men, and as the craft plopped her stern down again, the spray splashed past them. The crest of each of these waves was a hill, from the top of which the men surveyed for a moment a broad, tumultuous expanse, shining and wind-driven. It was probably splendid. It was probably glorious. This play of the free sea, wild with lights of emerald and white and amber. "Bully good thing it's an onshore wind," said the cook. "If not, where would we be?" "Wouldn't have a show." "That's right," said the correspondent. The busy oiler nodded his assent. Then the captain in the bow chuckled in a way that expressed humor, contempt, tragedy, all in one. "Do you think we've got much of a show now, boys?" said he. Whereupon the three were silent, save for a trifle of hemming and hawing. To express any particular optimism at this time they felt to be childish and stupid, but they all doubtless possessed this sense of the situation in their minds. A young man thinks doggedly at such times. On the other hand, the ethics of their condition was decidedly against any open suggestion of hopelessness, so they were silent. "Oh well," said the captain, soothing his children. "We'll get ashore all right." But there was that in his tone which made them think. So the oiler quoth, "Yes, if the wind holds." The cook was bailing, "Yes, if we don't catch hell in the surf." Canton flannel gulls flew near and far. Sometimes they sat down on the sea near patches of brown seaweed that rolled over the waves with a movement like carpets on a line in the gale. The birds sat comfortably in groups, and they were envied by some in the dinghy, for the wrath of the sea was no more to them than it was to convey prairie chickens 1,000 miles inland. Often they came very close and stared at the men with black bead-like eyes. At these times they were uncanny and sinister in their unblinking scrutiny, and the men hooted angrily at them, telling them to be gone. One came and evidently decided to alight on top of the captain's head. The bird flew parallel to the boat and did not circle, but made short sidelong jumps in the air, in chicken fashion. His black eyes were wistfully fixed upon the captain's head. "Ugly brute," said the oiler to the bird. "You look as if you were made with a jackknife." The cook and correspondent swore darkly at the creature. The captain naturally wished to knock it away with the end of a heavy painter, but he did not dare to do it, because anything resembling an emphatic gesture would have capsized this freighted boat. And so, with his open hand, the captain gently and carefully waved the gull away. After I had been discouraged from the pursuit, the captain breathed easier on account of his hair, and the others breathed easier because the bird struck their minds at the time as being somehow gruesome and ominous. In the meantime, the oiler and the correspondent rowed. They sat together in the same seat, and each rowed an oar. Then the oiler took both oars. Then the correspondent took both oars. Then the oiler. Then the correspondent. They rowed and they rowed. The very ticklish part of the business was when the time came for the reclining one in the stern to take his turn at the oars. By the very last star of truth, it is easier to steal eggs from under a hen than it was to change seats in the dinghy. First the man in the stern slid his hand along the thwart, and moved with care, as if he were of Sverre's. Then the man in the rowing seat slid his hand along the other thwart. It was all done with the most extraordinary care. As the two sided past each other, the whole party kept watchful eyes on the coming wave, and the captain cried, "Look out now! Steady there!" The brown mats of seaweed that appeared from time to time were like islands, bits of earth. They were traveling, apparently, neither one way nor the other. They were, to all intents, stationary. They informed the men in the boat that it was making progress slowly toward the land. The captain, rearing cautiously in the bow after the dinghy soared on the great swell, said that he had seen the lighthouse of Mosquito Inlet. Presently the cook remarked that he had seen it. The correspondent was at the oars then, and for some reason he too wished to look at the lighthouse, but his back was toward the far shore, and the waves were important, and for some time he could not seize an opportunity to turn his head. But at last there came a wave more gentle than the others, and when at the crest of it, he swiftly scoured the western horizon. "See it?" said the captain. "No," said the correspondent slowly. "I didn't see anything." "Look again," said the captain. He pointed. It's exactly in that direction. At the top of another wave, the correspondent did as he was bid, and this time his eyes chanced on a small thing on the edge of a swaying horizon. It was precisely like the point of a pin. It took an anxious eye to find a lighthouse so tiny. "Think we'll make it, Captain?" "If the wind holds and the boat don't swamp, we can't do much else," said the captain. The little boat lifted by each towering sea and splashed viciously by the crests, made progress that in the absence of seaweed was not apparent to those in her. She seemed just a wee thing wallowing, miraculously top up, at the mercy of 5 oceans. Occasionally a great spread of water like white flames swarmed into her. "Bail her, cook," said the captain serenely. "All right, Captain," said the cheerful cook.